I've driven over $100 million in Amazon sales using very specific Amazon listing secrets. I mean, look, my team and I took David's product and added a fresh $1.4 million in top line sales in under 6 months, and we did it only with listing optimization. So that means no touching ads, no looking into PPC, no creating new campaigns, no adjusting anything. It was all done simply with Amazon listing optimization, but in a very specific way. I'm Sean Farrington, founder of Ecom Optimization, the Amazon growth agency, and I have brands and business owners reaching out to me right now, more confused than ever about paying for optimized listing packages, then being befuddled by why they're not making any sales. And it's just not the prices, it's more about the lie. These are basic end-to-end Amazon listing creation packages, $3,000, or this basic launch package here, $3,000 for a basic launch package. We look at this one over here, a little bit more reasonable, $1,899, until we go down and look at some of the details here. Oh, if you have to add images and listing optimization, you're $2,000, still no video, no A+ content. Full Amazon A+ content, $3,000 for that design. I'm looking at all this and saying, are you kidding me? And I'm sure you're thinking it's about the price. It's not just the price, although the price for that is pretty atrocious. But the real reason is all of these are lies. And so we want to be careful. I'm going to show you how to avoid the lie completely. But first, if you're a little bit confused about what it takes to grab sales on Amazon, you're not alone. I've got a resource for you that I think will serve you well. It's called the Amazon Listing Secrets. I'll just go ahead and drop the link to that down in the description of the video. Grab this for free. There's no strings attached whatsoever. Saying all the stuff that I'm covering today will be in that, plus some other things and checklists and all of that kind of stuff that are not covered there will be in that as well also. So you'll have that as a resource. But right now, I really want to dig into the lie, and I'm going to prove the lie to you here in just a second. So one of the things that I want to look at when I'm looking at this idea of the Hegelian marketing life cycle comes from Hegel, who was a historian, and he realized there were certain phases of history where you had something started off with a thesis, let's say, and then something reacted to this thesis and was called the antithesis or anti-thesis. And that was a direct reaction to this and saying, hey, I reject your thesis. I'm going to come up with an antithesis or an antithesis. And then what happened after time, after this antithesis and thesis sort of combated their way out, what happened is something called synthesis, which is basically the idea that they synthesized together. They sort of came to an agreement on things. And this happens over and over again. So when I first started on Amazon way back in the day, there was a thesis. There was a thesis given to us by Amazon that you had to have all images had to be on an all white background. That was the Amazon way of doing business. It was their way of keeping their brand pure. That's the aesthetic that Amazon wanted to have. And that's the aesthetic that kind of went on for a long period of time until someone realized that, hey, I was getting results when I wasn't selling on Amazon, sort of out before Amazon existed, by putting things like call outs onto my listings, onto my images. So they would stick these call outs onto there, and they sort of got away with it. And they're like, hey, we can have other stuff on our main images as well too. And it doesn't have to just be the all white background and all of that kind of stuff. And so that went along for a little while until basically it sort of synthesized, and everyone out there was doing a very similar thing. They're like, hey, okay, I'm going to put a call out onto my Amazon listing as well too. And then they started getting good results, and people started getting better and better results, and they actually became top sellers and winning the badge and all of that kind of stuff. But after this became the norm on Amazon, this stuff right here became what was considered good procedure, good salesmanship, good marketing on Amazon. People had to start to do a little bit better. This started to look clunky. This started to look a bit cheap. It made their products feel cheap and the brand feel like it wasn't a premium brand anymore. So what we had to do then is find a more elegant way to do the same thing. And so one thing you're allowed to do per Amazon terms of service is to offer a product in use. So they would push back against these hard call outs. Amazon was saying, no, we only want the all white background. And then Amazon terms of service said, well, you're actually allowed in the main image to show the product in use some way, however you determine what that is. And we ended up having to go a little bit more into being creative, being aesthetically pleasing, being something that Amazon would tolerate and still be a product in use. So in this case, the girl wearing the t-shirt goes beyond just the t-shirt laying there as a flat lay product and offered something a little bit more lifestyle oriented, a little bit more interesting to the shoppers, and a way to get around that all white image and just doing boring images that Amazon would want. And this is kind of the state of Amazon as it is right now, where you can kind of do these call outs. They can't be separated. Like, see how these are separated out here? These little call outs are separated. Amazon doesn't want that. So you have to tuck them in behind right here. So we do a little bit of a lifestyle and we do a little bit of a call out. So all of this to say is that this idea of an optimized, when we're talking optimized, this idea of optimized listing is just not trusting, because something will always be pushing against it. Whether it's your competition, whether it's Amazon, you will just never have this stasis where you can be like, hey, I've set up my listing and now it's good to go. If you figure out something that works well in a main image, then guess what everyone else is going to do? They're going to come over here and they're going to essentially end up stealing it. They're going to steal what you did. And now all you did over here is outdated. It's no longer working. And you're going to have to come up with something new, something that speaks to them in a way, something that gets above the noise, that looks different. In general marketing terms, we call this differentiation. But all of that to say that this whole idea of a static optimized listing, it's honestly, that's the lie. That's the lie that we can't tolerate. And so I don't want you to get stuck into a situation where you think, hey, I can treat Amazon as a set it and forget it kind of marketplace. It's just never going to be true. I've never seen it to be true. I've sold a lot of product on Amazon. And as soon as you think you figure it out, your competition will come along behind you and push on that and steal from you. And then yours just looks like everyone else. You went from being the most awesome, you did the best work, and now you're just an also-ran who also looks like that. So there is no such thing as an optimized listing on Amazon. And I think that's a lot of why I see a lot of people come to me and they're a little bit frustrated because they're like, hey, I spent $3,000 on this idea of a listing. Matter of fact, let's just do a little bit of a search here right now. I'm going to do a Command F. I'm going to look for the word optimized. Oh, look at that. So we've got right here on this, he's saying optimized. So this idea of an optimized listing, optimized. And as you can see, just from this idea of optimized over and over again, it's just a lie. There is no such thing. This has proven it just from the history that I've shown you right here. You cannot have an optimized listing. Things will always be changing, certainly in the main images, if not in what you need to say for your marketing, because everyone else comes along and kind of copies it. If you've ever seen the tools, very standard tools out there like Helium 10 or stuff like that, they'll basically go pull like, here's the best stuff from the best listings and here's what you need to say and all that kind of stuff. So if you figure it out, it's just going to change down the road. So I'm going to go over very specific things that get the highest impact for you when it comes to Amazon listing optimization, so you don't get stuck in this idea of an optimized listing, which just isn't true on Amazon. And here's what I mean by that. And I'm going to actually show you how we've done optimization to take this was Cryo Concepts for their freeze and clear product. And we took it and gained 1,168. You can see this 1,168 percent return. It went to 68,000 in under 28 days. And we went to a full $243,000 a month after that using these principles, these exact steps that I'm going to show you. That ended up delivering a 7-figure business on Amazon for the people at Cryo Concepts and the Freeze and Clear brand. Also, I'm going to show you how we did the similar thing with Layla Luna, 1,139% growth in the first 3 months. And this was a brand that was already selling on Amazon. And you may not know this, but it's actually harder to kind of get a brand moving that's selling on Amazon, because Amazon has what they call honeymoon period. And the honeymoon period is this idea that they like new products. They give new products a shot that they won't give people that have kind of proven that they're not doing well. And that was the case for them, as they kind of already had stuff up there, but we're not doing well. We got that lift. And then they went on to get a 7-figure a year business from that point on. I want to take you on, and we're going to talk about how, while this Hegelian life cycle is a real thing, it doesn't mean you have to be a victim to it. You can actually be proactive in it. So I'm going to take you through and show you specifically how to be proactive on that. We're going to do it with metrics. And the first metric we really want to be concerned with is your click-through rate. So your click-through rate is honestly just a matter of how many people see your main image and click on it and get onto the listing. It is your first metric that you need to be consistently measuring as you're doing work on Amazon. And we're going to really go through in a very systematic way and show you what that looks like, because there are actually 3 different ways you can improve your click-through rate and kind of use this Hegelian marketing life cycle in your favor. And so the first one that we're really going to talk about is 3 ways. The first one is with clarity. So when we're talking about clarity, what we mean is it's far better to be clear than clever. And this is just a statement. Sometimes people think they need to be super clever, but sometimes it just takes clarity. So I would say, how can we actually be clear with our main images? Because that's one of the primary ways you actually improve your click-through rate is with this main image. So I'm going to just go down here and do a little bit of work over here. So again, we have our thesis, antithesis or antithesis, and synthesis. And how do those all work together? So you need to have your product represented on Amazon product. Now, the problem with a product like this is you can even see on this, it's kind of getting white. It's really hard to see. It's a white product against an all white background, but it is clear. Like, you can actually see what it is, even though it's a problem product, because it has a white background. So we have actually done the first part of this by addressing this clarity issue. We've already got a clear product on there, but you've seen this even in the history of Amazon. You've probably seen, they all start just the product on the page. And then what do you do from there? So again, use the idea of using this Hegelian marketing lifecycle to your advantage, thinking ahead. We can start to build up a process by which we can improve on our listing. So we got clarity. I can say we clearly understand what this product is. It looks, if you're looking for soap molds, then you're kind of like, yeah, that looks like a soap mold. But the problem is everyone else can do this too. They can take a picture of their soap mold. They can remove the background on Canva, and then you're kind of stuck with everything else. So we have to sort of move beyond clarity. One of the things we can do beyond that is add color. So we have clarity, we have color. How do we then add color to it? Well, one simple way to do that is just moving along this Hegelian life cycle for ourselves is just put color into the actual product itself. So we can put colorful soap into the product itself, and that adds color to it. So we've got this antithesis or antithesis of this. So the thesis is, hey, you need to have clarity. We got clarity. Now let's add color, and we can just move right along this pathway. And already you can see, just if everyone else had their product out there that looked like this, you're already winning, because you just have something else on that main image that goes, that's beautiful. And it's definitely and definitively more beautiful than that thing is. But then what do you do after that? Well, what's going to happen next is, you probably guessed it, is, someone else is going to see that. Oh, okay, I'll put color in my image as well too. Oh, I'll do it too. And then you've got everyone else piling on and putting color into their image. That's the synthesis. All right. So you had the thesis, the antithesis, the antithesis, and now all of a sudden everyone's coming along and saying, I got to do that too. So what do you do at this point? If you're being proactive in your development of your marketing, you can use this HTML framework to your advantage in a way that moves you along. So one of the things we can do is just move down this list to the next thing that we can do is curiosity. And I would say, honestly, that curiosity is the number one thing that you need to do with your main images to move your images down the road and get more of a click-through rate, to increase or boost the click-through rate. So when we're talking about this, clarity, Obviously, you want a clear picture. You want to have some kind of color in it. If it's a basic product, let's just get something in there, anything that's good. But now we need to deal with curiosity. So now we can do right along this HML framework. We've got the thesis, which is just having clarity of the product. We got some color in it, but now everyone else has adopted that and they're doing the exact same thing that you did. So how can we go beyond? And what we can do is come up with a new thesis. In this case, the new thesis is curiosity. I'm going to add curiosity into my main image in a way that gets attention. So everyone else is doing this. We got to do something different. We got to add curiosity. And so what's better than a product in use? You're going to hear that again, right? We come back with a product in use. So this is a product in use. And moreover, it's aspirational, meaning people don't want just a soap mold. That's not what they're looking for. If they were looking for just a soap mold, they would have been happy with just this image over here, right? They're not wanting just a soap mold. They actually want soap. So when we're talking about the stuff that they're probably most interested in is right over here. It's this soap. All right. And then we're seeing this pour going on and we're seeing all this kind of stuff. There's a lot of visuals going on there that really start to attract attention. And the eye is drawn up here and the brain goes, ooh, what is that? And that is enough curiosity to get the click and get them onto the listing. So there's your framework, increasing your CTR. Number one, clarity. Make sure that they can actually see. You want clarity over cleverness. You just want to be able to see clearly what the actual product is. Second, add some color of any kind. So we've got color in here. Add curiosity, right? Add a curiosity element. And notice in this one, we've actually added more clarity. We know what the product actually is. So we've gone back around the Hegelian marketing life cycle, this whole life cycle, with another thesis, doubling down on what's working. More clarity. Oh, they're pouring something into the mold. Oh, it's for making soaps. I recognize those soaps. That's what I want in mind, right? And then curiosity is enough to go like, that's very interesting. What's going on here? Especially if no one else has this on their main image. You will get the click. And when you get the click, you started the sales process. And Amazon's monitoring this. The images that get the click or the listings that get, they're monitoring this. But, I'm going to tell you right now, you wouldn't know how to do this on minute one, day one. There's no way you would know, oh, okay, which one of these is good? Which one's the best? How would I, be able to figure it out? The only way you can really know this is by testing. Honestly, that's the only way you're going to know 100% for sure that I nail this. Is this the right thing? So if you can run through this whole idea of testing over and over again, then you're going to be headed in the right direction. And the way you do it, quite honestly, is just to go around the loop. You keep going around the loop until you get it right. You test with clarity, color, curiosity on your main images. So you want to be testing from day one. You want to put forward marketing tests that you believe will speak to your audience. And here's the thing about this. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know how many thousands or hundreds of thousands of images I've tested over my career, but I will say that I'm often surprised by what works. Sometimes the things that I think are a little bit ugly or a little bit not upscale get the most clicks. And so I would say, even when you're doing this and working down this thing, how can I build curiosity? What kind of colors can I use? Can I use colors maybe they're not expecting? Can I add clarity in a different way? Like, what is this product actually used for? So if it's a makeup product or eyelashes, maybe it's a super close up of the eyelash on the main images and to the point where it's almost disturbing, but enough to give me clarity. Again, it's color. Can I show color of the eyelid and hypersaturate things? Can I increase curiosity? Maybe they don't even quite understand that it is an eyelash. Really working around these ideas, because sometimes in this testing phase, you're going to be a little bit shocked by what actually works on Amazon. So we want to be careful not to assume anything, not to presume that we know exactly what the market wants or anything like that. So when we move from this image to a colored image, the click-through rate jumped. And when we move from the color image over to this, click-through rate jumped again. And that's just how this process of testing really works. You go for click-through rate jumps. And the idea is that ultimately you're going to be measuring this. You just measure your click-through rate. Oh, we're at 0.5. Okay. Did we go up to 0.6? Did our click-through rate increase, or did it go to 0.7? Did we gain 2 points on our click-through rate? And that's the simplest way to begin testing and to get out of this idea of, right, an optimized listing, which just isn't true. You're not going to be able to judge. No one's going to know. So you just need to have some options when you jump out. I'll give you the ideal number of options here in just a second, but I'm sure within your own marketing, you've probably seen this, maybe in your own space, or just being around the world enough times, you realize that within marketing, even things like pricing doesn't last. You know, someone's priced at $10.99, and then the next person comes out with $9.99. They're trying to break that double-digit 10 number down to a single-digit $9.99, and then the whole world follows, and they're all $9.99. And the guy that's selling at $10.99 is losing. So we've got a market understanding that marketing life cycle is part of life. It's just part of how things go, and the idea is just to get ahead of it, is to not be a victim of it, but to move ahead. So with pricing dropping, you don't want to be doing that. So we got to be doing some other things to basically increase our value to justify a higher price, so we don't get caught in the whole like, oh, everyone else is doing a race to the bottom of pricing. I'm going to give you the truth here and to say the only way to do Amazon optimization is testing. It's the only way to do Amazon listing optimization is testing. And let me show you just a little bit of an example right here. So let's just say you sell this Jeep product and you're like, okay, this is my product. If I were to just launch onto Amazon today and have the product, that's what it would look like. It would literally be this product on an all white background for a Jeep, and you might not even understand exactly what it is. You don't have to stick there. Again, you want to be moving in such a way that you're going to be moving around the Hegelian marketing lifecycle in advance, offering clarity. We would just go for clarity. Let's just do that for this one, because I think one of the things you could do immediately is like, hey, you know, we could add, this is just the bumper as it is now, but couldn't we just change it out and ghost prop it? This is called a ghost prop. And this is showing that, oh, hey, that grill fits on my Jeep. That offers more clarity, perhaps a little bit of curiosity. You could be like, hey, 100%, is that my Jeep? Let me go look and see what it is, because maybe it has a different bumper. But whatever it is I'm just increasing out clarity, color, curiosity, and I'm getting them on to the listing. The only way you'll know if this is valuable is testing. The only way to do Amazon optimization is testing. There is no foolproof. There is no static optimized listing. If you hear anyone say there's such a thing as an optimized listing, they're lying to you. And they're just trying to sell you a package. It just cannot be, and it is not true. So we got to be careful and moving in a way that makes sense and is constantly moving us towards getting higher click-through rates. First of all, we're going to move right around this. Clarity, color, and curiosity, and moving in a way that's testing. Can I increase curiosity? Can I increase clarity on exactly what I'm doing? And I can say this, you can basically just go around these options over and over and over again, back around. If you're ever kind of like, hey, am I even close? Am I sort of doing this well at all? You'll be able to find out in minutes whether you're able to do that or not. So we just want to be able to get away from this idea of an optimized listing and really be able to focus on optimization as a verb rather than as something that's describing the product. This is the kind of stuff that I would say gets the highest value. Matter of fact, it's what we did for David, who was one of our clients. He had this product. It's called an umbrella stand. See this thing down here? It's this umbrella base that's weightier than most, up to a couple 100 pounds, so that these things won't fall over in the wind. And you can see him gliding it around, and it was and anyone could use this with one-handed operation. And that's what we did for David on his. He had a good product, but the problem was no one was buying this product. So he invented it. He actually developed it, and it was out of his garage, just like some of the best stories in Silicon Valley or anything. Matter of fact, he didn't live far from Silicon Valley. He lives up in the North Coast, closer to me, of California. But really no one understood it. And that was David's thesis. So if we're talking about the Hegelian cycle, it's like, oh, okay, it's an heavy umbrella stand, and everyone understands that. He just assumed that everyone understood that. But the problem was no one was really understanding it. So what we did is we ended up jumping into some of the market research, and we've started finding out that people were freaked out about any umbrella stand, any of the heavy umbrella stand, because he wasn't the only heavy umbrella stand on the market. They were freaked out about any heavy umbrella stand crushing little kids around them, and they tried to move them or got underneath them, but they would crush their little toes. So we needed an antithesis to make that a little bit more clear, because this product actually did solve that, but he wasn't talking about it in any way. So the antithesis was, hey, we'll just go ahead and say it. Stop crushed toes. So again, this idea of clarity, we already kind of went over it with the networking. Stop crushed toes. So we just made the marketing super clear. And then we even sort of went a little bit further here. Business owners say. So we started talking to a little bit more of an upscale client. So stop crushed toes was the big marketing problem. I'm sorry. That's what the shopper was worried about. So we just started poking that pain right in the, and then we started talking about that pain right inside the images. Wheel closures prevent direct contact with the wheels while rolling. So we're reinforcing this. We had the stop crushed toes, especially when they're around kids and all that kind of stuff. Then we talked about these wheel enclosures stopping direct contact. And you could see how everything was recessed and safe. You couldn't even see the wheels. As you can see here, you can't even see the wheels in the product. So there's no way for toes to get under and get crushed by anything. So stop crushed toes. We started poking that right in the copy and right on the image design. And guess what? From that point, sales picked up amazingly. We started talking about things that people were actually worried about, and the sales picked up. But next, we ended up finding out, beyond just the crushed toes proposition, that this was a choice of upscale restaurateurs, upscale resorts, and business owners. And then what we did is we used that as our new thesis and pushed everything just a little bit further and see what we could do with that. And so we literally put that right out copy into images, trusted by hotel, restaurant, and resort owners. Hitting that proposition, and that allowed us to charge more. So now our margins went up, our sales went up. People are like, hey, if top hotel, restaurant, resort owners are trusting this thing, I can trust it for my own backyard. And when we did that as the new thesis, what happened? We were able to drive 1.4 million in new sales, top line sales in under 6 months. It was just a little under 6 months. But we had to do this in a very specific way, and we do it with measurements. We did a very similar thing with Antonio. He had this product, which was a kitchen product. Everyone was kind of doing bland, not really saying much. They kind of got to this point where they had all these multiple elements to them. Everyone was out here with multiple things. They got stacks, and other people were coming along and sort of figuring this out, where they added some color to the image here with the bowls and fruits and all that kind of stuff. So we were already doing that. There was a synthesis happening, and we had to go back to research and figure this out. And while everyone was fighting over the click at this amount, I would say, if I remember correctly, is 0.54 was the click-through rate currently at the time, was the static click-through rate at the time for that. We had to find a new way to deal with this. So what we did is we went back to research, and we did some focus on some of the pain points that our shoppers. And what I was seeing is that more and more were complaining because they were getting these overseas products that were had these chemical smells, had odors, and transferring those things to their food. And that's what they were most worried about. So what we did is we ended up dealing and addressing that right inside the main image. And that we did simply by putting a USA proposition right onto the packaging. And as you can see here, we actually faked in some packaging right back here. At this time, there's nothing. And then once we get over to this, you can see right in the packaging that we have the USA propositions right on the packaging right up here and over here. That was the change we made. And by really start to dealing with those customer pain points right in the main image, we first of all increased curiosity, because no one else could do this, because they would be lying if they said that they were made in the United States, because it just wasn't true. We were the only one that was made in the United States. And what happened after that? We had a 400% jump in sales right from that. Click-through rate went through the roof. We did it all by addressing the customer's pains. And so that's why whenever we're doing any kind of new launch onto Amazon, we really want to have 3 main images with different click curiosity, different clarity, different color to test over a 30-day period. So you want to CTR test your main images in a way that gives you data and feedback. And the reason you want 3 over 30 days, because sometimes when you first start out, it might take a little bit to get some actual traction coming through. So you want to have these 3 that you can go through rather quickly in that first 30 days. And then guess what? Once you have that, you can let the winner lie and go work on some other conversion metrics, as I'm going to show you here in just a second. Now, I do want to say that this actually goes well beyond what everyone would assume, which is that, hey, I just need to have, beyond image background removal. That's what's required on Amazon. No, we actually want to put main images that get clicks. We want to have stuff in the image that will drive curiosity at some level and make it so that the eye is drawn to something. And that right there is a little bit aspirational, meaning, hey, people actually don't care so much about tongs. What they do care about is not dropping huge cuts of meat or anything like that. So really, that will help to get us onto the listing. After we get them onto the listing, we have to start dealing with something else, and that's called unit session percentage. The unit session percentage is the measure of how well we do at converting browsers into buyers once they're on. And look, this is actually probably the most important metric on Amazon, period, because this is the second one Amazon watches second. They're looking to see, once people get on there, if we send some traffic to this listing, do the shoppers actually buy? Do they end up becoming customers, or do they continue cruising on and go look at other listings and all that kind of stuff? If you cannot convert shoppers once they're on your listing with unit session, Amazon's going to take away whatever ranking you have from you, and they're just going to give it to another listing that does convert browsers into buyers. And the reason they do that, one, is because they're highly concerned about the customer. Amazon, Jeff Bezos said, we want to be the world's most customer-focused company, was their whole motto. That's their behind-the-scenes motto. So they're focused on that. One of the things they look at for that is unit session percentage, to see is like, hey, do people actually like this and buy it based off of what they're saying? So that's a big one. The other thing is, too, quite selfishly, is that Amazon only gets paid when you get paid. When you make a sale, they get to charge you those FBA referral fees, the pick and pack fees, all those fees that you hate to be charged. They only get to charge you whenever you make a sale. So this is the metric that measures that. And the number one factor behind unit selling images, when you're talking about being on the listing, the number one that I see that no one's really talking about is this right here, and it's hooks. So what do I mean by a hook? Well, this is a hook. End embarrassing warts fast. So when we're talking about what works on Amazon, this is the idea of what a hook is. End embarrassing warts fast. That is a hook. And often they're found right up here in the bullet headline, on the bullet heads. And that's kind of where we start. We start developing up a bunch of these hooks and we test them. We test the hooks. We get a few different versions of them. We see which ones work well. And then we end up testing this, because the only way for Amazon listing optimization, true Amazon listing optimization, is testing. So end embarrassing warts fast. That is your hook. And being able to test that and find out what resonates with shoppers is key. Now, we don't just make these things up. The reason we picked this one for this bullet is because it actually fit marketing language, fit research language from our market. So we went out and found out, what are the people actually saying? Can we condense it down maybe a little bit into 3 to 5 words or whatever it is? End embarrassing warts fast. 4 words, able to say that. And it hit that pain early on. I would say, honestly, out of all the 100 million I've sold on Amazon, poking at pains is the number one skill that gets the most sales, period. We tried being nice and only speaking about aspirational things or desires, but ultimately the hooks that win the most are painful hooks that really poke at that pain super fast. So end embarrassing warts fast is one that works. So that's a hook. but you really want to develop up a few of these. So again, for that one, we had home wart treatment that actually works. All right. And coming up with this idea of a hook that you can put right at the top. And look, you can change these things out. You can actually keep the rest of the body of this stuff, keep all of this, and just test out the new hook and come up with new ones consistently and swap those out in a cycle. You're just kind of like, hey, let's test a new one. Let's test a new one. You can actually test those hooks and see which one gets a unit session percentage. Test these, find out which one gets a higher unit session percentage. This one here, new lip lift set for pro or pout. Again, this was stolen from actual fans of these products. That's why we say fans say right there. This was actual marketing language that was taken from the market, from actual people. They talk about pro or pout, right? Being professional or having the pout for at night or anything like that. Having these options work for you in advance is what will start to change your unit session percentage, working with. And I'm going to show you how this can go beyond just the hooks on the headlines here. Because you can actually use this kind of language, like right kind of stuff, pretty familiar if you've ever done any studying of it. This idea of mirroring back to the shopper or what they actually would say themselves in their own language, called mirroring, NLP from mirroring. But you can do this on images as well too, like this one, talking about pain points. This is a bulletproof backpack kids can wear to school. It will stop a 44 Magnum at 13 feet distance, so they have something to shelter behind. There's probably no greater pain. And I showed you this one for one specific reason. This is a very effective piece of marketing, and it's ugly. I think everyone ultimately assumes that you need good-looking marketing to be effective, and that's not always the case. This was extremely effective in tons of sales, but the idea is that you can have something that's ugly as long as it speaks to the shopper. And sometimes you don't know. Sometimes beautiful things don't do it, and sometimes beautiful things do. I mean, that said, ultimately, we want to be doing marketing that sells. That's the whole goal for this thing. We want to have marketing that sells and sells well. Now, if you can do that with eye-catching image design, yes, absolutely. Go ahead and do it. You can do it with photorealism. You can go beyond infographics. You can do something visual that tells the story fast. In this case of being able to secure this product while you're away on the beach, or being able to ride into the night if you're really into bikes and aspirational, in just a way that looks very action-oriented and fun and engaging in that. But ultimately, you want to do it in a way that gets the sale. So if it needs to be ugly, that's okay, as long as it's truly getting the sale. So again, this optimization isn't just for clicks. It isn't just for views. It isn't for dwell time, although dwell time is kind of important on a listing, and I'll show you a little bit more how to do that in a second. It's ultimately to get these sales, and that's why we want to be able to do that. And again, if you can do it with eye-catching image design, yeah, go ahead and do it. One trick that I'm seeing right now that's kind of cool, a lot of people don't know, is on the premium A+ content. So that's old EBC is what it used to be called. Then it became A+ content. Now it's premium A+ content. You can actually do a trick where you can double stack two images together. And this kind of allows a re-engagement with massive visual effect, because a lot of people just put like a single one. You can see these sort of horizontal images here. You can stack these two together. They become seamless when you put them next to each other, and then you can cheat and make this one big visual image and start to talk about anything that you want to talk about. But it's one little trick that's sort of working with good image design right now on Amazon. So, but again, the bottom line with all this, it must sell. That's what we really want to do. So one of the things we want to look at too is for unit session percentage is proof. So beyond just the hooks, we got to look at building up proof. Now, a common way that people think of when they think of proof, especially social proof on Amazon, is dealing with reviews. Now, reviews are incredibly important. They are important. I would say, honestly, you need to get that. It is, I would consider, a part of optimization, but you actually don't need reviews to start out and sell well on Amazon. You can actually add your own proof, even if you have none, or if they're still coming in, or you don't have as many, like you don't have, what is it here? 1,084 reviews like this listing does. You can actually move beyond that and still put social proof into your listing. And the way that we do that, I've already showed you just a little bit of this, is we can say it right in the copy. Trusted by hotel, restaurant, and resort owners. So you can write that right into the copy. I already showed you a visual of that, but then you can go ahead and put it right into an image design. Hotel and resort owners choose Shade Mobile because they move with one hand and keep big umbrellas safely upright. So again, this idea of trusted by hotels and resort owners makes it feel upscale, makes it feel worthy of its super expensive price tag, which, everyone's worried about selling at a premium price. Now, I've gone over these two right here, 5, but I'm actually going to give you a bonus one here in just a second. It's going to be a complete bonus for you. But before I do that, what I want to do is just offer this to you again. It's the Listing Secrets. If you're kind of stuck or you'd like a more systematic checklist, it's just completely free. Grab that, no obligation. Basically, you just go ahead and grab it. It's completely free. And I don't take you step by step through some of the listing secrets, some of the ones I've already covered, some other ones that I haven't covered that are going to be critical for you moving ahead. And then, as I promised, I am also going to the bonus unit session percentage move that will probably get you the most results in the quickest time. And this is so critically important. I don't know why no one's talking about it. It is probably the most huge move you can make right now that would be different than anyone else as far as listing optimization on Amazon. And it's called interaction. So off of Amazon, people have known for years that increasing interaction on a listing increases the whole idea of dwell time. It also increases commitment bias, meaning I've done more things to this listing or on this page or whatever it is than I've done on any other page. And now I've kind of like spent, 10 seconds here, now 30 seconds here, now 50 seconds here, now a minute and a half, now 2 minutes, now 5 minutes, all that kind of stuff. So dwell time and commitment bias kind of go hand in hand. So when we're looking at that, one of the best ways to do that is to offer some form of interaction. If you can offer an interaction on your listing, then you're going to increase that dwell time. You're going to increase that commitment bias. Now, you might be saying, well, how do you do that, Sean? Oh, I pretty much know about it. The images, I guess they can click on those. Amazon offers some very specific ways that I know most people aren't really talking about right now. On the Premium A+ content modules, maybe you've seen these. These are called hotspots. And there are little ways you can click on them. And when you click on them, these little windows pop up down here that give you the ability to put in the new marketing language, all of this kind of stuff. So this is the little window that's popped up down here. And that little window pops up when they click on the listing. So it's a nice little interactive way to increase commitment bias, decrease dwell time, so they can go over here and click on any one of these and immediately start interacting directly with your Amazon listing. This is so huge. No one's really talking about this right now. So if you haven't done this yet, create some kind of interactive something. I'll show you another one that's absolutely huge with also uses Premium A+ content, because I think while on TikTok and Instagram, everyone understands the power of video. How many people are using it on Amazon? So obviously you have the listing video, but on your A+ content, you can make this thing huge. I mean, it can take up a whole page. This right here, this ability to just have something that's clickable and watching it increases dwell time. They have to watch whatever length of video that is. I don't recommend these videos be long. Usually they're in between 50 and 50 seconds and maybe a minute and a half kind of a thing. But you ultimately want to have that same kind of language. You want to get their curiosity, so they want to watch the video. You want to offer clarity. You want to offer anything that's moving. You want to start speaking to them early about those pain points. Use those hooks in that video. Whatever hooks kind of work well for you, just put them in that listing video. And that will actually be a huge asset for you. Another one that I'm seeing right now that a lot of people aren't using well, or probably some of you aren't using at all, is the brand story. Right now, the brand story has these little, you see these little things on the side here. Those little arrows on the side allow you to sort of swipe left or right on those. And when you do that, you can pull up a whole new section just like this. And you can see this new section here, and it allows them to shop with that. And then there actually collections are coming out, just came out recently, and they're allowing to do this in a whole different way. But sort of the bottom line is Amazon is offering a ton of different modules that you can choose from to basically cause interaction. I mean, you can, any of the comparison tables allow them to select from different product, and they've got a lot of different of those. One that I like really a lot right now is the ability to do these galleries. So maybe you've seen these on Amazon sort of down at the bottom, and oftentimes at the side they'll have sort of this little play button, kind of like arrow thing going on here, sort of this left and right, kind of like what was up on the brand story. Or was that right here? You can see these little arrows on there. They kind of have those little arrows. And what you can do is you click on those and then they swap out to another image like this. You can just literally create 3 images. And the idea of these are you can have 3 of these. So this would be like image 1. And then you go down to this one, and this would be image 2. And then you go down to this one, and this one would be image 3. And they would just be able to go through and swap between these. But the good part is because it's interactive and you can tell a little bit of a different story. So on this one, we can tell durable, safe polymer. It looks like it's on rough terrain on next to a rock and all this kind of stuff. And they can kind of tell it's outdoor hiking. One of the things you're seeing is that, and plus notice the color of this. Now when we switch this out, we go to the pink color. So it tells us we actually offer a different color. This one's name was Buddy. It's customizable. It's telling the story about this a little bit more. This one's name is Luna. And you can see these little sound waves going out. Quick find speaker. So it's just talking about a feature and kind of showing the benefit of being out in the wild. And then IPX6 water compatible, comparable water resistance. So basically you can show water splashing on it and realize that is water resistant. And you also get a different color. So we have the gray, we have the pink, we have the blue. So we're doing color, we're doing curiosity, we're doing clarity. We're starting to offer a little bit more even on these images, which help increase dwell time, because again, they're just going to come along and they're going to click on these little arrows and these are just going to swap out immediately. So I'm showing them up and down, but on the listing, they just go whop and they swap out, and then you're up to the next and whop, and then the next one's up like that. So it's a very simple way to increase commitment bias, because I'm spending more time on the listing looking at all of these things. I'm engaged with it more than I was on any other. So I mean, these kind of moves right now that I'm just showing you, all the stuff in the top Amazon listing optimization moves that I've already shown you. And these are the most important ones. I'll go over a few others that are important, but maybe more understood. These are the ones that are most important, like this interactivity, clarity, putting panes up to the tops, all that kind of stuff. The standard optimization is exactly what we did for this backyard barbecue product. This turned around in 24 hours just by doing the moves that I've already showed you here right now. So just within that 24-hour period, this thing was stuck. If you kind of look at the numbers here on this thing was stuck at 30,000 BSR, which is not a good BSR, by the way. It's not somewhere you ever want to be on Amazon. And then it shot up to 832 in patio, lawn, and garden. In case you don't know, that's huge. And that happened in 24 hours. Randy was basically saying, hey, this product went from being ranked at over 30,000 to 832 in one day. I'm staying up all night just to get more inventory in. So those are the kind of things you can have. These things don't always happen. I'll be honest with you. These kind of moves don't always yield this kind of result, but because they have, and because I've seen them so many times, they are still the best moves. These are the moves that I would say to make. So if you're in a more competitive space, maybe it would take a little bit longer than that. That's all right. They're still the same moves. You want to get this kind of clarity. You want to go through and work on your unit session percentage. You want to work on your click for you. And the best part is if you do this right with your listing optimization, one of the big things this gets you is free traffic. So for that listing, the one that I just showed you here, we didn't touch ads at all. And it shot up to page 1 in 24 hours. And that's an important thing is, when you're dealing with all of this stuff, this cannot be static. Your marketing cannot be static. It's got to be dynamic. It's got to be moving, ever changing into that trap. Don't buy these lies that somehow a listing can somehow be optimized and it's static and you can just set it and forget it and never worry about it again because it's just not true. Of a package. So I would say, just a package, what I'd be looking at right now for a launch package minimum, you want to have 3 main images that you can launch within that first 30 days. That is going to be one of your critical moves that you're going to want to do. And of course, you're also going to want to have a good title. And so a good title is one that speaks to the algorithm, but it still has to also speak to humans as well, too. People need to come along and understand, oh, okay, I understand what this product is. So again, these images aren't the only thing. A title is actually important too. Again, along with it, bullets are important. And I showed you bullets from the optimization speaking to the human portion of it, but you actually want some keyword dense bullets that also have SEO value as well too. That way you can start to rank free on your listing. That's all of this stuff. You need to speak to the 2 people. You need to speak to the algorithm. You need to speak to the humans. And when we're talking about ranking, part of the reason that this one jumped as well as it did is because we also spoke to the algorithm. We also told the algorithm, hey, here are the keywords that we're looking for. Can you help us along? Oh, we're getting conversions because we spoke to humans as well too. Sure. Amazon's like, I'll go ahead and give you a shot at that and give you access to that. And then another big one too, a big player right now is video. And that's the thing I'm not seeing on any of these, even though they're charging like $3,000 for all these packages, no video. Video is absolutely crucial on that early launch. And I would don't think about videos being, I've got to do a Hollywood production. That's not necessary. Sometimes it's iterative, like just having motion, things moving on your listing on that video can be critical. If you have video assets, those can be put together in a way that makes a video. So if you've already done shoots or even had just the product moving on a 3D, whatever, sometimes that can work if you use the right language, be able to do that. And of course, right now, a big one right now is that Premium A Plus content. So you want to use the Premium A Plus content, get all those modules, the interactive modules going for you, like we did for Disney and like we did for Fusion Black, all of those kind of things. Doing this kind of stuff well is part of what drove this listing, this Premium A Plus content, the listing and the Premium A Plus content, this full 7 modules using all of those things to $68,000 in 28 days. So you really want to make sure that you've done that. And because you watch this, I've actually just gone ahead and put all of this together in a package for you. If this is something that you're like, man, I really want this done and I don't know how to do this and I want a package that I can test, I've actually done all of this and put this together in a package for you that includes all of these things, including video, far less than any of these crazy packages that were going on for out here, far less than any of that. And plus, because you've watched this from the beginning to the end, if this is something that you're interested in, I've unlocked this, which is a precision fit pathway. And it's the opportunity to have me go over your product, your listing or if you're launching into the space, whatever that is, and just discuss with you what the next steps would be if your product were my product and I were listing it on Amazon. So no big pitch here, but if that's something that's interesting to you, I'll put a link down below and you can jump in. But after you work your listing into a conversion machine, your next problem is getting more shoppers onto your listing. And that's why I created this video right here. It'll show you how to get more traffic that Amazon will just send you for free. Click that video and I'll show you just how easy it all can be.